I didn't have to have 70 fights or 150 fights, 300 fights. Did I not beat the most world champions?
Yes, you did.
Okay. In the least amount of fights?
She did.
Who got the highest game?
Floyd Mayweather.
Who made the most money?
You.
Who was the most accurate fighter of all time?
You were.
So it's basically saying that
The greatest of all time.
After Terence "Bud" Crawford stunned the boxing world by defeating Canelo Alvarez, he wasted no time sending a pointed message to Floyd Mayweather. "I'll make your old mark better. Not your records or your bank account, but what you leave behind." That jab struck at the heart of Mayweather's legacy, his desire to protect his spotless reputation. Unsurprisingly, Floyd fired back hard. In interviews, he dismissed Crawford's win, doubled down on why he considers himself the greatest of all time, and made it clear that no one could tarnish his accomplishments. But this back and forth goes beyond a potential fight. It's a battle over history itself. Crawford currently holds the pound-for-pound crown, celebrated for his dominance and skill. Mayweather, on the other hand, still owns the perfect record, the box office reign, and unmatched fame. What we're witnessing is the collision of two legacies, one built on untouchable perfection, the other still being written through bold challenges and undeniable victories. And as the debate heats up, the question becomes, whose name will resonate loudest when boxing history is told?
Around like Crawford or Mayweather.
I think Crawford is better, bigger. He's actually he's more of a weight class, and I would say Crawford is a better fight all around fighter. Mayweather is really good too, though. You can't knock him as well. He's very talented. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because he's bigger. You know what I'm saying? And he would have kept him at bay. Been hard for Mayweather to counter, maybe. But Mayweather's definitely a technician. I mean, like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, and Crawford is his era.
But instead of being overwhelmed, Crawford rose to the occasion. He outboxed Canelo with sharp technique, neutralized his power, and even landed the cleaner, harder shots throughout the fight. In doing so, he didn't just win, he made history. Crawford became the first fighter ever to go undefeated across 3 different weight divisions, cementing his claim as one of the sport's all-time greats.
You said something about what fighters go through, and you've seen enough guys that the game is taken from. It's a hard game to get through. Can you get a better ending than tonight? I mean, really?
Not at all. Not at all. This is the top of the top. Canelo is, all-time great. Like I said before, he's the last one.
He's the A side of the age.
There's no more Canelos. There's no more. So when you look around, you say, I'm the Canelo. I'm the face of boxing now. And I'm the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, like I always been. Just gotta wait.
Fans weren't just celebrating Crawford as the best across weight classes. They were asking the bigger question, is Bud actually better than Floyd? That's when the tension really began. For decades, Mayweather built his identity on the belief that nobody could beat him. Money Mayweather wasn't just a nickname, it was the brand, the undefeated record, the perfect execution of a career planned to protect both his legacy and his wallet. But Crawford's brilliance has been so undeniable that it's shaken that foundation. His dominance, his ability to move up and conquer bigger opponents, and the historic win over Canelo have sparked debates that cut right into Floyd's core claim of being untouchable. Suddenly, Mayweather's reputation isn't just being celebrated, it's being questioned.
You're backed by arguably one of the greatest of all time, right?
what are we rating this on? What are we rating on?
Okay.
No. In the least amount of fights, I didn't have to have 70 fights or 150 fights, 300 fights. Did I not beat the most world champions?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And in the least amount of fights? Who got the highest gate?
Floyd Mayweather.
Who made the most money? Who was the most accurate fighter of all time?
You were.
So it's basically saying that
The greatest of all time.
okay.
All right.
That's why Crawford came out swinging, not just in the ring, but with his words. When he said he'd raise Floyd's memory asterisk, he wasn't talking about chasing Mayweather into the ring. He was talking about rewriting the story Floyd had crafted so carefully over decades. For Crawford, this wasn't about challenging Floyd head-to-head. It was about shaking the foundation of Mayweather's legacy. Floyd built his career around control. He decided when to fight Pacquiao and when to face De La Hoya, and even caught Canelo while he was still too young and raw to be at his peak. Every move was calculated, and fans rarely questioned him because the results were flawless. 50 fights, 50 wins. Now Crawford is pressing on that untouchable image. By beating bigger men, taking risks Floyd never did, and doing it with historic perfection, Bud is attacking the story Mayweather worked his whole career to protect, the story that nobody could ever stand beside him.
It's the only fight they're doing the shoulder roll. I mean, yeah. And not knocking the guys that paved the way. And I want to come on record and say, I'm appreciative for guys like Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard. So many guys that paved the way for me. But there's only one Floyd Mayweather. These fighters are not better than me. You look at the numbers, they say, oh, Canelo may end up beating more world champions than Floyd Mayweather. Wait, he should? With almost, 80 and 90 fights, he should. I beat more world champions than any fighter in history. I'm 50-0, but half of my fights was world title fights.
But Crawford isn't like the others. For Bud, greatness means stepping into danger at its peak, not waiting until the risk fades. He didn't hold off until Errol Spence slowed down. He faced him head-on in his prime and dismantled him. And when the chance came against Canelo, he didn't wait for a decline. Canelo was still the man at super middleweight, still the measuring stick of dominance, and Crawford went straight through him.
Feeling to be Chris Eubank's trainer, first of all? It feels good, man. You know what I'm saying? I've been the trainer before, so yeah, I'm scared. It's a no-brainer. Of course. Congratulations on the win. What's your first reaction to Crawford victory? One of the greats of this era, right?
Oh, definitely that. You know that.
What do you want to see him do now?
What I want to do now?
What do you want to see Crawford do next?
Do what he was. He has to point out in his career whatever he wanted.
Who would you like to see him fight? Any names? Is there any names in particular you'd like to see? What about Canelo? Would you like to see him retire?
I don't know. Canelo's not my best spot.
But what Crawford meant was simple. I'm the man who takes risks you never did. That's the message behind his words. He's telling Floyd that when history weighs their legacies side by side, people won't just see numbers on a record or dollars in the bank. They'll remember who dared to step into danger, who took on the biggest threats at their peak, and who proved greatness by risking everything. For Crawford, that willingness to face the fire is what sets him apart, and it's what he believes will outshine Mayweather's carefully managed perfection when their accomplishments are compared.
So emotional afterward. Is it that you just realized everything that you achieved, the moment just hit you then?
Yeah, for sure. Like, you just, history, behind the sport, just everything that, I trained for my whole life. It all was, coming out that one night. It was all paying off. You have a lot of people, adopted this narrative that Terence Crawford can't say, Terence Crawford is not marketable, and we push the narrative to the public, and that's all people write about. Oh, Terence Crawford can't do this, Terence Crawford can't do that. But any one of Terence Crawford fights, you see a sold out crowd, but they wasn't talking about that. They was talking about how, marketable I'm not, and that kind of was hurting my career because, a lot of people was looking at me and said, oh yeah, listen, he's not marketable. Oh, they say he's not, don't have a personality, things like that. I didn't want to do things their way. I didn't want to put on a show. I didn't want to disrespect my opponents when they wasn't disrespecting me.
Right.
I wasn't, I'm not a guy that, wearing jewelry for no reason. Just the things that I didn't want to do what they wanted me to do. You know, they go out there and say, "Oh, they lost money on me." You know, it's just crazy though to see the headline. You know, not one of the largest 10-year fight in American history.
For Crawford, legacy is about more than just staying undefeated. It's about who you fought, when you fought them, and how you got it done. That's why he feels justified in challenging Mayweather's crown. From his perspective, taking risks and conquering the toughest names at their peak carries a weight that sheer numbers can't match. But of course, Floyd wasn't about to stay quiet. In classic Mayweather fashion, he brushed off Crawford's win, downplaying its significance. He argued that Canelo wasn't that good, that Bud's resume doesn't compare to his, and that beating a handful of big names doesn't make someone the best ever. Floyd leaned on his unblemished 50-0 record, his record-breaking paydays, and the fact that no opponent ever solved his style.
Yeah, I'll let you know. There's no fighter that would ever be better. There's no fighter that wasn't better than me before me or after me or when I'm long gone.
The most cutting part of Floyd's response was the way he brushed Crawford off as irrelevant to his legacy. He made it clear that, in his eyes, Bud has no power to touch what he's built. When people talk about greatness, they talk about me always. Crawford can't mess with something untouchable. That's where the idea of the asterisk comes in. Floyd's message is simple. The king can't be overthrown. At best, someone like Crawford can echo his path, but never rewrite it. In Floyd's mind, his reign isn't something that can be challenged. It can only be imitated, solved his style.
Wild, because like if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring them. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, but I didn't. But then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, yeah, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time. That makes a difference to